Welcome back, friends and enemies. It remains June, so I am continuing with my queer content in reviews. Yeah. So, I know I said I was going to mostly do trans and non-binary authors and stories, but once again, looking for an adult book proved kind of sketchy. Not a lot came up in fiction, to be entirely honest. It seems to be a lot more young adult and non-fiction. Fiction as well and young adult, but in adult, like, a lot of things just felt really sketchy. And like you weren't allowed to have a happy ending, so like nothing spoke to me. I left this fourth spot open at the beginning of the month thinking something would come across my radar that I hadn't already thought of, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's the fucking one." And it didn't. And I'm just kind of disappointed with the publishing world right now. You know, I get it. You know, the stats for trans adults aren't great for various reasons throughout society being a shithole. So what I ended up with instead was a book inspired by a mother's love of her trans child. And you're probably like, oh, I know exactly what this is. Of course you know exactly what it is. It was in the title. So, This Is How It Always Is by Laurie Frankel. Author's note in the back. Inspired by my child, but not at all about them. Entirely fictional. I'm like, okay. That's fine. So, this book made me feel a lot of things. First of all, I was crying within the first 15 pages, like first chapter, and there is not a lot of books that can do that to me because, like, what the fuck do I know in the first chapter that I care so much about these people? Oh, yeah, in this one I do. So there's that. The hair stuck to my face. There we go. So, yes. Emotions. Overall, I enjoyed it. I kind of like the prose of it. Sometimes it was a little too long-winded, not varied enough in the way it was doing things, but like overall, prose, way she writes, really enjoyed it. There are a lot of... This is going to be very character-focused for me, I think, what I did and did not like about certain people. And I'm just going to, of course, put the blanket spoiler warning on this if you're trying to avoid finding out too much. I'll try to keep it vague, but at the same time, like, I'm going to say things. So, I will say, first of all, around page 110, very heavy trigger warning for gendered violence. The second time I cried in the book, like, put the book down and sobbed for a minute. Yeah. Maybe I should give you a summary first, so you kind of know where I'm coming from when I say things. This is Claude / Poppy. Yeah. Rosie and Penn have 5 boys, except they don't. They have 4 boys and a girl. But society is a shithole. And this is, of course, the family's reaction to said shithole. Right. I'm not feeling very generous with society today, to be entirely honest, so... So, yes. when Claude is like, I think I might be a girl, and starts to want wearing dresses to kindergarten and all this kind of thing, the parents are right off the bat immediately fully supportive, which feels a little unrealistic to me, to be entirely honest. Which is ironic, because I am the person who always says, like, if you can't love your child with them being anything but what you want them to be exactly, you shouldn't be having children. So, yeah, the unconditional, fully embracing everything kind of... It felt a little unrealistic. But at the same time, there were parts that were, like, incredibly realistic. But it was also just frustrating because, like, they pick up and move across the country. So we start in Wisconsin. And, you know, 4 boys doing great. And they have an incident with one of Claude/Poppy's friends. And they're a shit family, as you would expect to find in Wisconsin. I don't know anything about Wisconsin. So yeah, they pick up and they move to Seattle. And there Poppy gets to live as Poppy, and no one knows that Poppy used to be Claude. So that creates a lot of thing with, like, one of the older boys who's just like, why are we fucking lying? I thought we moved here because it's safer for everyone, and, like, you ripped my life apart in Wisconsin. I was doing really well, and, like, now here we are, and it's just all about this one child. Like, you have 4 other kids, and I was just like, whew, yeah, you do. So yeah, that was really like, oof, yes, like, nice that you have the means to do so, but not everyone does, and, like, disrupting 4 children for one just felt very, like, damn, who do you favor, you know? And I get it, it's like, okay, we're trying to protect the family, it's not safe for any of us here, but it's obviously not safe very particularly for one, and it's the youngest one. So where was this thought process before? So they moved to Seattle because it's safer. But, Poppy lives entirely as Poppy. No one knows that Poppy used to be Claude. And, the oldest, Rue, with the move, loses all of the things he enjoys to do, all of his friends, everything. And, he definitely becomes very depressed. And I got really fucking annoyed that the parents weren't doing literally a thing about it. You know, he's a teenager, he's sullen, he's sulking in the basement, whatever. Like, yeah. So help him. Like, help your children. All of them. You're spending so much time focusing on one. And it got really frustrating that, like, everything was revolving around this one child. And I get it, the book is supposed to revolve around this child, but, like, seeing the family dynamics really, like, frustrated me. Like, the communication with this family is so fucking garbage. So garbage. Like, so garbage that it leads to the parents splitting up for a little while and taking a break. While she goes to Thailand with the youngest child, who just got outed in a really spectacular and horrible way, because, like, you didn't think you could literally tell anyone in a place you moved to where it was safe for them to be themselves. It was just... Sometimes I was very frustrated. The outing of Poppy, oh my god. The reveal of how she was outed was just like the whole scene, like, each kid is, like, coming into his parents' bedroom in the middle of the night in the pitch black and being like, oh my god, I think I did this. Oh my god, I think I did this. Oh my god, I think we did this. 'Cause twins. You know? And, like, even the parents, like, I think I did this. Like, and then, like, it gets revealed how it went through and got revealed. And it's kind of vague on whether the family gets told how it gets revealed or not. Like, it is and it isn't, you know, you find out, but you're like, wait, do they know? And you have to, like, read real deep, and you're like, yes, they have to know. Like, they have to. But it's never discussed. It's literally, like, just... Like, Poppy freaks the fuck out, throws away all the girl stuff. shaves their head with their brother's razor in the middle of the night, and is just like, well, I'm Claude because no one's ever gonna accept me as Poppy. And it's just like, okay, you're gonna do something about this child? No, now you leave them alone. Now you leave this child. Your parenting skills aren't great. They're good parents. They just make some questionable decisions, as all parents do and will. So, when that happens, they have like it's not a therapist, I think it's a social worker. It's kind of vague what his actual job is. Mr. Tongo, who's back in Wisconsin, and they still talk to him. Rosie used to work at the hospital with him. And so this happens, and he's just like, good! And they're like, what? And he's like, your child is queer and has not suffered at all to make anything worthwhile. To be themselves, like... And they're like, why would we want our child to suffer? And he's like, you're great parents. You're too good of parents. You're just fully accepting, and like, they've never had to fight for anything in their lives. And I'm just like, oh, I like Mr. Tongo. I like Mr. Tongo from the moment I met him. He is this crazy over-the-top character in this, but like, also kind of feels like the most realistic person in here. Like, this person definitely exists somewhere kind of vibe, you know? You're just like, that guy. Like, over the top, but the most real. And I just loved it. Because, like, it is such, like, happy sage advice. Like, when they come to them and they're like, oh my god, like, our kid, like, our boy thinks he's a girl, and he's just like, congratulations! And it's like, yeah! It was just, like, so supportive, and, like, how you need to work through these different things. And I love Mr. Tongo. I love Mr. Tongo. It's probably my favorite character in the whole thing. Kinda love Rue. Probably because, you know, he's the depressed teenager and the parents aren't doing anything and I'm just screaming at them. There's that. Within this book, there is also a fairy tale. Because Dad's a writer, and so his bedtime story every night for 5 unruly boys starts as a fairy tale. And, like, works through things that they're really doing in their life and, like, that kind of thing. And eventually a princess joins them. And so it's just, like, this cute fairy tale that kind of, like, goes throughout the book that you don't really get the whole thing of, but, like, every once in a while it's like you're telling them about it and it lines up with their lives and the kids are learning things and I'm like, that's such a nice, cool dad thing to do. I love that. And eventually it is just Poppy who's listening to it because, you know, she's 10 where the rest of them are teenagers. And it was just kind of like, this is adorable, Dad. This is adorable. So, overall, I really liked it. There was just times where I was like, this is so unrealistic, the way this family is behaving. But, like, at the same time, it's kind of like, okay. Like, your kid gets outed and you're like, okay, let's go to Thailand. Like, what? And so, the end felt a little weak for me. Not like the end, but like, it's like 4 parts. So part 3 in Thailand, before we get our, you know, happy ending, I don't know, it felt really odd. I get why it's there. It just didn't feel like it fully integrated with the story. And then the last part is like 2-3 chapters, and like everything just kind of works out nicely, and it seems like everything's gonna be fine, and I'm like, yes, but like everyone is still angry that like you've been lying about your child for the past like 5 years. So maybe you need to talk about some things with some people, you know? Like, it works out, and it's like, okay, fine, it works out. It's not a happy ending, but it's like a hopeful ending, I want to say. Except it plays off like it's the happy ending. When, you know, realistically, you know, this kid's in grade 5. This is not the end. They're going to be fighting the rest of their lives. So it's like, okay. I have mixed feelings about the ending, obviously. Obviously. So as you can see, this was a Reese Book Club pick, I think from 2018? So on Goodreads, it has over 175,000 ratings, which is just like, okay, it's pretty good. It works out to 4.28. And so I was kind of looking at them, and there's not, like, it is predominantly 5 and 4 stars across the board. There's, like, a handful of 3s, and then, like, negligible 2s and 1s. So that means to me, good. The people who are reading this are not judgmental fucks. Hell-bent on certain people not existing in this world. But, there are definitely people who are like, meh. And that's probably, I'm gonna say it's probably the same thing that, like, I was saying, that some parts just seem really unrealistic, and you're just kind of like, this fairy tale is, you know, paralleling your real world fairy tale that you've made for yourselves. And it came crashing down, so, like, yeah. So it's just, it is a really good book. I will leave it at that. It is a good book. I recommend reading it. Like, I'm not saying my life has changed from it, like a lot of people in the comments were. It takes a lot for a book to change my life, gonna be honest. Gonna be real honest with that. Not much has. But yeah, like, it's good. Read it. Like, even if it seems like it's not your kind of thing, I think the way that it's laid out, the way that it's written, can make it a lot of people's things. Like, obviously, if you only read thrillers and horrors, you're not going to enjoy this. But, like, maybe take a step out every once in a while. Like, I don't like horrors. I've read 2, 3 this year. Like, I didn't hate them. I didn't like them. I didn't hate them. We'll get to that later. But yeah, I do recommend. And that brings me to the end of my Pride Month reviews. I'm a little sad. But you also know I'm gonna read queer all year, so, like, you'll see more. And I'll add them to the playlist, which will show up somewhere around here. Here, maybe? I don't know where it goes. I just click it and it goes, yeah. All right. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you around next time.